Meanwhile, we have some more breaking news happening right now there in Washington. The FCC has just voted to overturn net neutrality. That vote happening literally just a few moments ago. A story we have been following here. Why do we care about net neutrality? Because this is a decision that is going to affect websites that we all have access to, and it is also going to be affecting how quickly we can access many of those websites. I want to bring in NBC's Jolene Kent, who has been following this story very closely. You know, there's this misconception out there that this is just going to mean that you're not going to be able to watch your movies on Netflix as quickly as this perhaps you were a few years ago, depending on where you live. That's not what we're talking about at all, though, right?
Well, that's a small part of it.
Right.
We're talking about sweeping deregulation of internet service providers. The companies like our own parent company, Comcast, alongside Verizon, Charter, and AT&T, they will now be able to operate in a way that is much less regulated. And the counter argument to this repeal that so many protesters out there were hoping would get across to the FCC chair is that the internet nowadays is kind of like a utility. It's not necessarily just another product from a big company. So there's certainly will be pushback. We saw a very partisan vote there today, and there was, in fact, a security concern in the moments leading up to the vote. The FCC chairman had to clear the room, and they had to sweep it, and there was bomb-sniffing dogs. The vote then happened, but we expect a lot of debate after this. There are likely to be lawsuits. There's likely to be legislation, because now internet providers can provide a fast lane and a slow lane, and that cost could trickle down to consumers.
The vote was 3-2. It was a close vote, down party lines, of course, no surprise there.
Yeah.
But again, for folks watching and listening, what will this vote mean for them specifically? Or do we know yet?
Yeah, I think it remains to be seen in terms of concrete terms, but this will allow internet providers who provide your high-speed internet at home to be able to say that you can access certain websites for a certain amount of money. They could end up charging you more for accessing more of the internet or certain websites. And here's a really easy example for folks to understand. Verizon, right, is one of the big internet providers here, and they own Yahoo and AOL. Under net neutrality, which has just been repealed, they were not allowed to play favorites, to send you as an internet surfer, if you will, to those websites. And now they may be able to do that. So
they'll be able to speed up, slow down, block services.
And potentially a degree of censorship as well. And so activists out there who are against this repeal believe that this is the end of the internet in terms of freedom. But then those who voted for it say that this is actually going to increase competition between all of these different companies and allow them to invest more in providing more internet infrastructure to places in rural areas. So there's a lot of very nuanced debate here, but this affects every single person who has a smartphone, a laptop, a desktop, who's on the internet.
This is something that one of those things that's going to affect all of us in some way, form, or fashion. Who was really pushing this? Who was behind this?
This was a proposal by the FCC chairman, Ajit Pai. He's a appointee by President Trump. I actually asked him yesterday in an exclusive interview about whether or not President Trump really cared about the repeal of net neutrality. He says he's been provided no guidance by the president on this, but he believes that this is part. I mean, today at the White House, you see a big announcement on deregulation. And so this definitely falls in step with President Trump's political platform, but this is coming from Chairman Ajit Pai at the FCC. 22
million comments about this decision. There were, as I understand it, there was some concerns about precisely where those comments were coming from.
Yeah, definitely. So it's a record number of comments on the FCC website. Nothing has really been as controversial as this has been. And what we've heard is from the New York State Attorney General, Eric Schneiderman. He's come forward and said 2 million of those comments were actually made from stolen identities, stolen emails, or potentially individuals or accounts operated out of Russia. He called for an investigation. Several senators also said, let's delay the vote today. But then it didn't happen. And so it's an interesting twist to see that security issue pop up literally moments before the vote.
All right, again, breaking news. The FCC has just repealed net neutrality. It was a 3-2 vote. Lawsuits likely to ensue. Joe, thank you so much.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.